Well, I got the broadcasting opportunity when World War II started in 1943 is when I started broadcasting. I was in high school, and WSUI in Iowa City didn't have any male voices around because they were all in the service of the country mainly. I then enrolled right out of high school into the Iowa journalism broadcasting program and went on from there. I played a little bit of basketball at Franklin High School and a little bit of track and some golf, but I knew I wasn't going anywhere as an athlete, and consequently, I decided I would try and get into athletics through broadcasting. I really decided early what I wanted to do. It wasn't the greatest decision I ever made, but it's the one I stuck with. Well, we did a little bit of everything. I, of course, was interested in sports and begged to get on as much as I possibly could. We did football, basketball, baseball, and at that time, there was another opportunity on occasion because part of the Iowa athletic program had been taken over by the United States Navy, and they had instituted a program called the Seahawks, which was to develop future pilots, to put them in training, not to fly, but to get in shape and to become acquainted with the act of war. They became really the, for a time, a signature program of Iowa athletics. Well, I saw Niall Kinnick play every home game, and I met him on a couple of occasions. Got to know later on his father very well. I was a member of the knothole section at Iowa when Niall and the Ironmen played in 1939, and we were in the throes of greatness at that time. It was interesting. I got into the knothole section for 25 cents for the year. Attendance at the start of the Ironman season was so low that you could hop the little fence and get into the main stands, and as the teams went up and down the field, there was so many seats available you could just follow them, the action. You were almost involved in it. Nobody in our family tree had ever done anything like this, so I fell out of the tree. My dad always told me if he was alive today that, well, son, someday, you're going to get a real job. But I never did. I felt comfortable here. Now, yes, there could have been other opportunities, but you roll the dice and that's a gamble. Well, it was a gamble here in Cedar Rapids too, but it was one I felt much safer with, and I enjoyed promoting the high school athlete enjoyed my relationship with all of the people that I came in contact with, and it just seemed to be a fit that really fit what I envisioned doing in the world of sports. In the Iowa days of Ralph Miller, it just goes on and on. Evie's Rose Bowl teams and the Hayden Fry era, the Johnny Majors era at Iowa State, the Johnny Orr at Iowa State, and the great athletes I saw run and listening to Jim Duncan at the Drake Relay. There's a great depth of people that you've been able to meet and interview. The Jackie Robinson thing was interesting in that the Dodgers came to Wrigley Field for the first time with Jackie, and I made it a point to be there for that. And it was a nice, warm day at Wrigley, and Robinson usually at that time was left to himself, and he was just sitting down at the end of the visitors' bench at Wrigley, and he kind of looked lonely, and I went over and sat down beside him with a recorder and said, well, Jackie, how about a few words? And he just wanted to talk to somebody. Didn't make any difference who it was. And got a little interview. And out of the corner of my eye, the secretary of the Brooklyn Dodgers was a guy by the name of, believe it or not, Harold Parrott. And I saw him charging over towards me, and I thought, well, he's going to stop this right now. I just got up and left hurriedly before he got there, ran up the aisle, ran outside of Wrigley, and enmeshed myself in the fans coming into the game, and just guarded the tape that way. So that became an interesting story. I really believe the things that stick with you over a period of time are first impressions, or the first time you've experienced that. Because I remember telling Jim Zabel the night we got to the first Rose Bowl game and to the Huntington Hotel in Pasadena, I turned to him and I said, Jim, I never thought in our lifetime we'd be here. Miller in his time, Lute Olson in his time, Tom Davis in his time in basketball, and Hayden Fry and the Tiger Hawk era. You have to try and put it in a box and treasure it. Well, it was great camaraderie, and we all had a niche that we guarded, of course, but we became great friends, had a lot of dinners together, had a lot of great experiences together, respected one another, and basically I think it's probably one of the most unique stories in broadcasting. Well, usually in that day of radio, or in the earlier days of television, you'd be at each other's throats trying to outdo one another. We never looked at it that way, or at least I didn't, and I don't believe that Ron or Jim did either. Well, we usually, if we got something, we kind of shared it, really. I don't think I don't think we ever tried a great deal of one-upsmanship. It was pretty much of a team game. Bump Elliott, the Iowa athletic director, used to call us just the three voices. So that's kind of what it was. People have been very kind and very appreciative, and I'm sure there are those who figure, what is this bum doing broadcasting anyway? But you know, the fan reaction to Ron and Jim and myself has always been heartwarming. I know it was to Jim and to Ron, and certainly to myself, to have people just come out of the crowd and thank you for what you have done. Every day when I go to work here at K-Memory or on MediaCom for television, why, I do the best I possibly can, try to still learn and still develop a affinity towards the athlete. Sports is a portrait of life experiences, and you can learn about life, history, and experience by looking back in the archives and history of what happened. And the world of sports is the greatest teacher in that treasure of information. Well, from my standpoint, I hope that they would look in and say that this man reported it as he saw it, tried to give them a balanced feel for the game, and he enjoyed what he did, tried to put the best light on sportsmanship. 10 days after my passing, they will wonder, well, who was that guy? And let's hope that some people will go back and say that he contributed a little bit to the history of sports in the state of Iowa.